Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today we're going to be talking about 13 different teams, and I'm going to be telling you guys if they are Super Bowl contenders or if they're just pretending to be competitors this year. Real quick, before we get into the video, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button. We've been getting a lot of subscribers lately, so it would mean a lot to me. So thank you guys for that. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. And let's just start with the most obvious one here. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're contenders. Do I even need to explain this one? I mean, the Chiefs are hands down the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, Watkins, Andy Reid, the best offense in the NFL. And you know what really makes this Chiefs so dangerous, what makes them so hard to beat in the playoffs? We saw it last year, we saw it last week. You can never really put the Chiefs away. You can never put the game to bed. They can be down multiple scores, climb right back into it easily. And, you know, the reason that winning the Super Bowl is so difficult for everyone is because all it takes is one game against a quality opponent where they catch you off guard, you fall behind, and they eliminate you. But the Chiefs can have that one game where the opponent catches them off guard, they fall behind, and they're just going to climb right back into it and win the game. They're not perfect, but I think everyone is with me on this one. The Chiefs are the team to beat. They're absolutely contenders. So yeah, Chiefs contenders. Next, we've got the Seahawks, and I'm going to say it. I think they're pretenders. I know it might be unpopular, and earlier in the year, I would have disagreed with me. Right now, I would have told you guys they are contenders, but now we have new information. To win a Super Bowl, and for me to really have confidence in your team as contenders, you know, unless you have a bye, obviously, you need to be able to win 4 games in a row against very good teams. And I just don't see the Seahawks doing that right now. My issue with the Seahawks is, you know, they can really only beat you one way. And it's when Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over and when he plays absolutely incredible. And I mean, Russell Wilson is great, but the Seahawks have the worst pass defense in the NFL and against some elite passing attacks in the NFC, like the Packers, the Saints, and then the top 2 contenders in the AFC, the Chiefs and the Bills. This horrendous passing defense isn't going to cut it. It's just not going to get you past these elite passing offenses in the NFL that they're going to eventually have to face if they want to win a Super Bowl. And then another thing to pay attention to is this offense, which was the bright spot of this team through the first half of the year. It's been slowing down. If you take out the Jets game through the Seahawks' last 4 games, their offense has been averaging 19 points per game. And then another thing to monitor is I love Russell Wilson. I think he's great, but he's been a little bit more shaky recently. He's turned the ball over a little bit more, and I think, you know, he's not playing to the level that he was earlier in the season, which is huge when this team is very reliant on him making plays. And, you know, again, I like Russell Wilson a lot, but with the worst pass defense in the NFL, an offense that's slowing down, I just don't trust this Seahawks team right now to win 4 straight games against quality opponents, which is what you need to do if you're going to win a Super Bowl. So even though it might be unpopular, the Seahawks, in my view, are pretenders. Next, we've got another NFC West team, the Rams. They're contenders. The Rams, they're back. And, you know, I think they can absolutely compete for a Super Bowl. The Rams have the best defense in the NFL. That's right, I said it, the best defense in the NFL. Their pass rush has been phenomenal this year. I mean, Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, the ability to get pressure on just 3-4-man rushes, it's going to be huge come playoff time. It's really going to matter. Can you get pressure on Aaron Rodgers without sacrificing in coverage? Can you get pressure on Patrick Mahomes without sacrificing in coverage? And the Rams can do that with Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, as I talked about. That's hugely important. And then I also like the Rams' versatility on offense. They can beat you on the ground with an emerging run game with Cam Akers. They can beat you in their play-action passing game with Jared Goff when he's clicking. They've got one of the best offensive minds in the NFL in Sean McVay. I trust this Rams team on both sides of the ball. I can definitely see them winning 4 games against quality opponents to win a Super Bowl. So the Rams, in my view, are contenders. Next, we've got another contending team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, I think that too many people are forgetting about them. The Steelers, you know, they have lost 2 games in a row, and that's a concern. Don't get me wrong. There are concerns with this team. the run game, which is the biggest concern. And I think that's something to watch for the next couple of weeks. But I made a video on this. If you want to check it out right here, let's not ignore the positives with the Steelers either. I trust Big Ben in the playoffs. They have a plethora of talent at the wide receiver position. They've been successful passing the ball this year. They have the second best defense in the NFL, in my opinion, and the second best defensive coach in the NFL. So, they get pressure on the quarterback and they can get the ball moving in the passing game. I definitely recognize there are concerns for Pittsburgh, but to me, they're 11-2 for a reason, and they're still certainly a team I do not want to see in the playoffs. The Steelers are still contenders, despite many people bailing on them recently. Next, we got the Titans, and they're pretenders in my view. I'm sorry, Titans fans, but you guys are pretenders this year. I just don't see history repeating itself, and history last year was not even the Titans winning the Super Bowl. It was them making the AFC Championship game and losing to the Chiefs. To me, I just don't see this Titans defense being able to take them to a title. Yes, they're well coached, but as I talked about in my video last week about the Browns, if you want to check that out, talent plus coaching wins you Super Bowls, and you can't win without one or the other. And right now, the Titans have the culture and coaching, but they don't have the talent on the defensive side of the ball. So they struggle in pass coverage, they can't get pressure on the quarterback, and these things are really going to hurt them come playoff time. They will be exposed by the elite offenses in the AFC, like Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cleveland. You got a ton of elite offenses in the AFC, and not being able to get pressure, not really struggling in coverage, those things are going to catch up to you. I mean, I like Tannehill and Derrick Henry. This offense is good, but to me, it's not enough to overcome the Titans' defensive struggles and get them to win a Super Bowl. So the Titans, in my opinion, they are pretenders. Next, we've got another AFC team. It's the Buffalo Bills, and they're contenders, in my opinion. I mean, what a story they've been this year. I thought that, they would let everybody down. They were a team that I thought going into the year was going to underachieve expectations, and boy, was I wrong. Josh Allen has pleasantly surprised me. He's done everything he needs to join the elite quarterback club, and he really puts this Bills team in contention to win a Super Bowl. He is the reason they are Super Bowl contenders. He puts this Bills team on his back. He has been fantastic recently, and I think it's so interesting to think about how it went from the Bills offense holding this team back to maybe the Bills defense holding them back. But even with that, the Bills defense has been looking better too. They're putting things together on defense, which, they're looking more and more like the defense we saw last year, which was an elite defense that was one of the best in the NFL, but just the team couldn't quite get there because the quarterback struggled and the offense couldn't really get things going. Now you got an offense that can pass the ball all over you. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and if you can combine it with an elite defense like it looks like they're starting to do, it's going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. They are the biggest threat to the Chiefs because in my eyes, they have the best shot at going point for point with the Chiefs in the playoffs. I love the Bills with an elite quarterback in Josh Allen to make a Super Bowl run this year. So in my view, the Bills are contenders. I was wrong on them. Next, we've got the Green Bay Packers, and another team that definitely are contenders. I mean, you've got the greatest quarterback of all time, the league MVP this year, Aaron Rodgers, who's playing some of the best football of his career. I think that almost already makes them contenders, but then you pair them with Devontae Adams, solid run game with Aaron Jones, good offensive line. You get an offense that can keep up with anyone in the NFL. And, I do recognize that the defense is not fantastic, but they get pressure on the quarterback. They've got one of the best corners in the NFL, so their secondary is formidable. I mean, they do need some help at linebacker, but this defense is good enough. It's not great, it's not terrible, which is okay when you have an offense as good as the Packers do. So, give me Aaron Rodgers, the rest of this Packers team as Super Bowl contenders. I don't think anyone's going to fight me on that. They've been looking great recently. Next, we've got an NFC team, but this time they're pretenders. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are pretenders, and I know this might surprise many people because I think this was a lot of people's NFC Super Bowl pick going into the season after they signed Tom Brady, but I think the one game where they really looked like a contender against a playoff or Super Bowl caliber team was against the Packers many weeks ago, and I think that game was a bit of a fluke. I mean, how often is Rodgers going to throw 2 interceptions to you and basically hand you the game? So, other than that, if we look at the rest of the body of work for the Buccaneers, the Chiefs game looks closer than it actually was. They lost. They lost to the Rams. They got dominated by the Saints twice. I think the Buccaneers at this point are a group of talent that just cannot pull things together right now, and they don't have an identity, and that's going to get you into trouble in the playoffs. I think you can also argue that Brady is holding the Buccaneers back right now. You can argue that if they had a different quarterback, we might be looking at them as a better football team right now. And Brady, his whole career, has made up for his literally non-existent athleticism with accuracy, big-time throws, decision-making. But all of these things have gone downhill this year. He doesn't have a good connection with Bruce Arians. And to me, the Buccaneers, as I said, they're a collection of talent that doesn't have an identity. And to me, that makes them pretenders. And I just can't see them winning a Super Bowl this year. So yeah, the Buccaneers, they're pretenders. And next, we have the New Orleans Saints, and obviously contenders. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me here. Their defense has really stepped things up. That was the concern at the start of the year. The defense wasn't performing up to what we thought, but now it certainly is. They're going to be getting Drew Brees back either this week or the week after that, and that's going to greatly help their offense. They can get back to more of the offense that we know and love. So, I think the Saints, and nobody's going to disagree with me here. I think they're arguably the best team in the NFC. I'm not too concerned with the loss to Jalen Hurts. They didn't know what to expect from Jalen Hurts. The Saints are a very good football team despite some past struggles in the playoffs. The Saints are contenders. Then next, the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm going to say they are contenders. What was the concern with the Colts? I thought it was Phillip Rivers. I wasn't sure how Phillip Rivers was going to be able to play for this team, if he was going to be able to lead them to the Super Bowl. And recently he's been really picking things up because, this team has everything around him. They've got some good wide receivers, nothing special in terms of receivers, but good enough. They've got depth. They spread the ball out as much as anyone else in the NFL. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. It's going to be healthy for the playoffs. And then you've got a good running game. Jonathan Taylor's been really picking things up. And then you combine that with a good defense. So my thought was, well, if Phillip Rivers can play well, if he can play up to the level of the supporting cast, this team is a Super Bowl team. And he has been doing just that recently. So in my opinion, they've got a good coach, Frank Reich. I like him. They've got a very good defense. It's been a little bit more shaky in these past couple weeks, but still, I trust this defense. I trust Phillip Rivers. He's got a lot of experience in his career in these types of moments. So I like the Colts here as Super Bowl contenders, despite me being a little unsure because of Phillip Rivers going into the year. Next, we've got another NFC team that's pretenders, the Arizona Cardinals. And I think they will likely make the playoffs in the NFC, but I think earlier in the year we were looking at this team as Super Bowl contenders. I just don't see them as that anymore. Kyler is not living up to his play earlier this season. I think, I'm not a fan of Kingsbury's offense at this point. It doesn't work with Kyler. Defenses are figuring out this offense. They're figuring out that if you blitz Kyler in this offense, it gives this offense and Kyler Murray a lot of trouble. So this offense, which was supposed to be the strength, the bright spot of this team, is shrinking right now before our eyes. And then the defense, that doesn't help their case either. I think they've been up and down, really struggled to get pressure on quarterbacks, and they've been inconsistent in coverage as well. So I do not buy the Cardinals right now as a Super Bowl team, and I think most people will actually agree with me on that. Then next, we've got an AFC contender, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I do buy them as a Super Bowl team. The Ravens, they are back. Lamar Jackson is back to his MVP form. What a game against Cleveland that was. And, I know what you're thinking. Lamar Jackson can't win in the playoffs. And I think he can do it this year. He's better than he was last year. I made a video on that earlier this year. He is the leader that this team needs. Last year, the Ravens were caught off guard. They're going to be underdogs this season. There's no catching them off guard. They've been in this win or go home mentality for weeks by the time they get in the playoffs. So they're going to have the right mentality going into the game. I think that this team ceiling really is as high as anyone besides Kansas City. We're talking about a top 5 defense when they're at their best, when they're fully healthy. It's absolutely a top 5 defense. And then an offense that's top 5 when it's at its best as well. So they're getting healthy at the right time. They have the reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson, who's getting hot. They will be hot heading into the playoffs after playing an easy schedule down the stretch. So the Ravens, if things come together, they have all the tools to win the Super Bowl, the talent, the coaching, and if they make the playoffs, they're a team that nobody wants to see and are definitely Super Bowl contenders. All right, last but certainly not least, the Cleveland Browns. They are contenders for the first time in decades, and I made a video on Saturday about this. Click the tag here if you want to watch the video. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and you might think, well, they lost on Monday, but that game on Monday night only reaffirmed my opinion on the Browns. Baker is looking better and better. Stefanski has done a fantastic job as coach. They have the best offensive line in the NFL, the best rushing game in the NFL. And, they lost, but it was unfortunate because they just happened to run into Lamar Jackson playing one of his best games of the year. This offense is legit. They can really keep up with anyone right now. And the defense to me is not fantastic, but they can get the job done. They can get pressure on the quarterback. They're going to get healthier in the secondary. And this is similar to what I talked about with the Packers. This offense is good enough, explosive enough to the point where the defense not being great is not much of an issue. So, in my opinion, the Browns are built like a Super Bowl team. They are definitely big threats in the AFC and beyond to win it all this season. So, to me, I like the Cleveland Browns as contenders this year. All right, so here's a quick recap up on screen of all my pretenders and contenders, which teams I think can win and cannot win. I've got a challenge for you guys. Down below, I want you guys to tell me where you disagree, whether you think one team I had in the pretenders is actually a contender or a team that I have in the contenders section is actually a pretender, and I want you to tell me why you disagree with me. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, peace.